2019 Fairhope Airport Authority meeting to order. The first order of business, approval of the Airport Authority's minutes as on their March 19th meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move to approve the minutes after.
Do I have a second to approve the minutes? Do I have a second to approve the minutes?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes as written, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the minutes pass.
For the record, Mr. Croner came in late and docked his pay.
You need to.
Hey, Chip.
Chip, I'm glad you're here. Update on the East Side Construction Project. I was hoping Bill Pennington was here because he went to the last construction meeting. And I think that, didn't Hank send out something kind of?
Yeah, I got it right here.
That's kind of where we are. So if somebody wants, I don't have that, but
I've got it ready.
it's all but finished. I mean, it's probably, I talked to Jacob Cunningham this afternoon. I think there's 2 more weeks of work, mostly just, and waiting for poles to come in and things like that. So they're all but finished.
Oh, we got it. You want anyone to read it?
Yeah, go ahead. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Go ahead. Read the minutes.
2018 construction, East Terminal Area Phase 4, approximately 90% complete. Pavement's 100% complete as of 4/12 paving. Utilities are approximately 90% complete. Expect 100% completion 4/26. Airport edge lighting 70% complete. Expect 100% completion by 4/26. Roadway lighting on hold for breakaway bases. Expect delivery end of April. Airfield marking is waiting on 30-day curing period beginning 4/1. Expected completion 5/10. And then the 2019 AIP grant project design is 90% complete. 90% design is currently under review by ALDOT. 90% review held with Joe and Bill Pennington on 4/3. Construction estimate. Base bid $280,000. Alternate one was $156,000. Alternate 255,000. Expected bid open 5/15. Board approval on 5/21. Grant and submittal on 6/3.
And there's, I think he's going to submit 3 alternatives on the 219. 2.
Got a base bid and 2 alternates.
Okay. So
You
hopefully.
got the east-west road, and then you got a north-south that gets back to the
And we
proposed fuel farm location, and you have one that is the fuel farm.
So we're hopeful to getting, I think we've been promised 285. We're hopeful to get 422 to do the north-south, north-south. So that's good. Appreciate that.
Just out of curiosity, what is the airport edge lighting? Number 2 on the list here, or 3.
I thought the
C.
same thing when I read it. I don't know what he's talking about.
Is he talking about
He's
taxiway
talking about edge
lights?
of runway.
Airport edge lighting, approximately 70% complete, expected 100% by the
Is
26th.
that the taxiway lights?
The way it's written here, it doesn't sound like it.
It would say taxiway lights, and the runway lights are already there, so.
I'm going to the construction meeting tomorrow. I'll ask that question just so everybody knows.
It's 3 under the top one here. And when we have the east side completely done, what road in there is going to be the main public entranceway?
That road off 32.
After 32.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
We won't, I mean, the 13 construction road will be fenced. I mean, will be closed.
There'll be a gate.
There'll
There
be a
will be
gate.
an opening there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, my to-do has been to coordinate with the streets to put the fence line. You know, the streets on the property immediately to the north. And so we're working with them, and I've actually had a conversation with them last Thursday. And they basically said if we saved 40 fence posts, we could do whatever we wanted to do as far as putting the fence down. So that's my last to do. Yeah. Okay.
According to Hank, that 13 entrance will never be funded by the FAA. They'll only fund 1 entrance, so we'll have to do that a little bit ourselves, out of pocket, whenever we decide to do it.
Okay. The next item, and there's really nothing, these are just some information. The next one is something we need to move forward on. Review and approval of the notice of availability for hangar ground leases on the west side of the west side, east of the public safety hangar.
Did we do item 3? I'm sorry.
Review of the application, oh, no, we
think
haven't, I'm sorry, I'm ahead of myself, so let's do item 3, I'm sorry. So item 3 is review of applications received pursuant to the notice of availability for hangar ground leases on each side. You know, if you remember, we started about 2 months ago, we got the notice of availability in good shape, sent it out. We had 4 responses, or really 3 responses. Two of them were part of a kind of a coupled response, if you will. Does anybody want to discuss responses, or do we need to have a kind of a format to how we go forward with this?
You know, Joe, you said we did get 4 separate responses.
Yeah, we did. One of them, yeah.
One of them is a joint venture, but we got 4 separate.
4 separate responses.
Yeah.
We probably need to talk to all of those individually. Looks like 2 of them use the same reference of the one of the space they wanted.
I noticed
The
that.
first choice,
Yes.
second choice, and then one to second choice and third choice.
Mhm.
So of the 4, they want to use 3 spaces, so
One of them is,
sit down and flip a coin one day.
one of them, the larger one, has an issue getting on one of the parcels. The one that's really large, I had a conversation with Hank, and that's, you know, that 168,000 or 17,000 square foot building would be hard pressed to be on on the number 2 side.
Right.
So
You wanted what, number 1 or number 2?
or number 11, 10 and 11.
10 and then 11. But he also said 12,000 to 16,800, so we need to sit down and talk with him and
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
what do you want?
What do you want? What do you really want?
Yeah.
So what I would like to recommend is that we maybe set up a committee and individually sit down and have some time and talk with these people one-on-one and make sure we know exactly what their needs are, see what any questions, there were some questions out there too, about what, have the lease ready to go, and then basically, see if we make it work for everybody.
Just as a general question, this joint building, decades down the road, when the airport authority owns that building, is that kind of construction going to be less or more valuable?
And is that how you read that those 2 buildings are co-joined?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't read it that way. That's a good point. I don't know. And then-
Well, he wrote in hangar space 120 by 120 in parentheses, but beside it, he said
2.
2.
Two.
So I viewed that as they were going to build 2 hangars side by side.
Side by
The two-
side?
They're not
The 2
gonna-
he drew down here are joined.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I,
it's common wall.
That's what I read.
But he also said 120 times 120 is 12,000. It's not, it's 14,400. So we need some clarification.
So the way this drawing looks is 240 feet on the front and 120 feet down.
Right.
Yes.
But they're joined together.
So between 2.
And then the one that confused me was he said about, does he need his own fueling facility? He said, no, just a mixing facility.
For
I'm not
mixed
sure-
fuel.
I'm not sure
So it
what
says
that's
field farm requested,
Yes.
yes for mixed fuel.
for mixed fuel.
He has to have his mixed with 100 octane and what was it he said? It's a
70/30, 80/20.
something like that. I mean, the advantage of that fuel farm is it wouldn't compete with an FBO because that's not a fuel product they want to offer.
I'd like to make a motion that Vince and Chip contact each of the 4 applicants to review these applications in detail and nail down the details for next month's meeting.
I think that's a great idea.
I'll second that.
Chip's the chairman of that, right?
That could be between the 2 of you. You want to call for a vote on my motion?
What about, one of the companies is actually in Gadsden. Shouldn't we go see that company too, Chip? Okay. I'd like to go on that trip. I don't really,
Okay.
yeah. So the motion is to have
The
former
2?
committee with Chip as chairman and Vince being a partner, and actually interview our 4 applicants.
You did,
So moved, yes.
All those in favor of that motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And we'll have a report back next month. to basically-
Call for the nays.
Any
No, you don't
nays?
want to call for the
Any
nays.
nays?
He knows other than Jeff.
So that's good. All right, so, all right, we move forward. So Vince, will y'all call the applicants and kind of tell them what the next step is?
We'll do that.
Okay.
We'll find a time and knock it all out at one time. But
Probably not a bad idea.
I missed the part where one's in Gadsden.
That's the second one with
Shane Phillips,
St. Phillips.
FMC, is in Gadsden, and he has basically an MRO for high performance jets.
Okay.
The Russian, the L-39 is Russian jet.
14, he has 14 employees.
And he would move his whole business down here.
Okay, so that, now we've covered 3. Now 4 is review and approval of noticeability for the hangar ground leases on the west side of the west side and directly east of the public safety hangar. And I sent that, I sent that out, a draft of that out in your package. And I'd like to see if y'all want to move how we proceed with that. I mean, kind of where we are is we have at least 2 people that are interested in that parcel. And I guess we need to, make sure, get the form, we approve the notice of availability, send it out, and see where we go with that. Good problem to have.
This just was tailored to the west side. It's essentially the one that was sent out for the east side, but modified to fit the,
Exactly. The things that are underlined are adjustments that actually modify it for the east side.
And locate this for me in my mind, it's directly east of the public safety hangar,
That's what that part-
between there and the runway?
Yeah.
There in the ramp.
The front,
Yeah, right, just adjacent to it.
People park there now.
yeah,
It's about 120 by 90.
okay.
what could the maximum hangar size be? I see the minimum of 3,000.
I think you could do something like 5,000 square feet, something like that.
There was a drawing for a 60 by 60 hangar that would fit, and that was for it'd be 3,600 square feet.
We, Executive Aviation looked at this for 70 by 70. And that was large enough.
And the state troopers don't have any problem
Well,
with
they
it?
do, they like where they are now. They don't like, they'll have to change where they launch the helicopters from. But we can,
And where would that change be to?
somewhere on the.
The old taxiway, that's
The old
where they used to go.
taxiway.
They used to pull out on the old taxiway. And now they pull out right at the end of the grass pad there, because nothing's there with their cars.
So they just have to go a little further. that's
Yeah,
all.
but they used to do it on the old taxiway. Probably the real question is where you gonna put those cars and the cars that come with this hangar.
Whose cars are those?
The guys in the state office there.
Well, let you park on the road,
Walking the road like everybody
across the
else?
street.
But that's all their cars. Just convenient for them right now.
Yeah.
I don't blame them, nobody's there.
Yeah. I thought it was like other people who were longer, like people, gone away.
It might be people that use those T hangars.
Could be some of those.
Some of those too.
And I guess I looked at this from the standpoint of Continental, but we probably should look at it from the standpoint of the lease with the state as well, just to make sure we're not,
We can look at it. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is our land. I mean,
probably, but you just want to make sure that
Okay.
parking's not an issue or anything. I mean, anything we promise to the state, obviously, we've got it.
We promised them a
About-
helicopter launching pad, but
Yeah.
we're just but that's not in writing.
Mhm.
But they've still got a helicopter like
They
the
got
same one they
they're
used
not
before.
gonna
It's
be-
really a safer place if they get away with other planes taxiing out of the T hangars anyway, if they're on the old taxiway. It is another 100 yards down the road.
It is. What I'd like for this is, I'd like a motion that we finalize this draft and send it out to, and move forward with this, move forward with leasing this spot too.
Can I ask, we got a minimum, do you think we need to talk with Hank? Let's talk about a maximum.
Hank went out there with me and he marched it off. I mean,
Right, but what is that number that, if we're putting a minimum in here, let's put a maximum. Somebody says, well, there's 10,000 feet of grass, I want to put 9,000 feet of building in it.
I agree. There needs to be a maximum if we're putting a minimum.
So we don't need to be any bigger than the state hangar
okay,
for site.
okay. So we'll put I'll get, Hank can put a maximum in there.
Okay.
And also finalize subject to legal review that everything is in compliance
Yeah,
there.
because Hank will know, because, I mean, that hangar's got to be a certain distance from the edge of the taxiway.
But Hank
So,
went out there with me
that-
when we first met with Don, and we looked at everything. And we looked, I mean, his proposal takes all the site. And whereas the other one did, when he took, probably 3/4 of the site. So we'll figure it
Because
out.
technically, we have taxiway on two sides of the grass strip. So it's setback, it's not on the south side, is it?
It'd have to be set back on both sides. I mean,
It's set back on the north and
And
the
the
east.
south.
Is there a taxiway on the
Yeah,
south side?
on the
On
south
all
side,
three
too.
sides, he's got to have that setback. So that's going to determine what our maximum is, and Hank
Okay.
can answer that question.
So the motion is to get with Hank and review, to get a maximum size hangar, and to also review, Josh review as far as compliance with both Continental Motors lease, which I think we looked at pretty good.
We looked at Continental pretty
But we didn't
thoroughly
look
to
at
make
public
sure, but we didn't look at the public
safety.
safety hangar lease.
Okay, so look at the public safety hangar.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
Okay.
So you're going to make those? To make the motion?
Well, I made the motion, I'll,
Okay.
and you'll second it.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait a minute, you got to call for the vote.
All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Okay, 5 is the updated insurance. As Vince called to our attention, we don't need hangar keepers. We basically dropped it. It's still going to be about $1,200. We haven't been invoiced yet. We paid all the other insurance, but we haven't paid the hangar keepers, so that was a good catch. We still kept the aviation insurance, which is for people falling, what I call slip and fall, associated with the FBO and the other hangars. So, we know about slip and fall. Okay? Number 6 is the update of the runway and taxiway lights. Chip, you want to go through that?
Let's see, I'll get Kyle's update. Let's see, as of, 2 days ago? We have one runway light out. We have one fixture, one runway light fixture out, and runway taxi light fixture out. So those are underground transformer replacements, and they've got, I think we've got those in stock. All the tappy lights are working. One real light is out. Moody's is supposed to come fix that. All the threshold lights, the beacon, the windsock lights, they're all working. And so according to Kyle, we got 1.2% that are inoperative,
And our threshold's 10%.
10%.
So that's about as good as we've ever been.
Yeah.
It's about as good as anywhere you'll fly into.
When was that survey done? Do what? When was that survey done? Well, Kyle sent the email yesterday.
We walked it last night, and according to Dean, we had the one blue light was knocked over with a flag on it.
Yeah.
And he said the other lights on the runway looked good. He didn't give you any info on the directional signs on the corners.
I think he said, and not in this email, there's still, I think, about 3 directional signs that aren't working. But that would, so he said here, there's one runway light and one taxiway light out, and those are the fixtures, so that taxiway light fixture's knocked down. And I think when he's cutting the grass, sometimes those get knocked over, and I think
Yeah.
they're made to tear away. And he's got, but for both those, he has 3 replacements in stock in the building.
And I guess, Chip, we spent a lot of time this last week meeting with Continental and coming up with a protocol for getting things fixed. And I guess David will talk about that when he visits.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, number 7, Airport Managers and Continental Motors Group Report. David?
Go to the standby for this.
That's it, my friends.
Oh, what turned you on?
And I will like to say that the AWAS sound card was installed last night.
Yeah, yesterday.
So-
They checked out the working unit and the phone line.
So after 3 months, we can announce that as being fixed.
So that's A.
Put on speakerphone. Do they say?
They're gonna call the number and see if it works.
Oh, that's it. I was told it worked.
Yeah, I was told it worked too.
Okay.
That was A. Yeah, they had the gentleman with the card, installed the card, and the FA was there, and they checked the unit and went down to the station and did whatever testing they did down there and said everything was okay.
And sent us a bill for $4,500.
Repair the weather stripping on T-hanger doors. Verticals are done. We've resumed working on what we call the skirts, not the sweeps. Joe, it looks like I've got it's the vinyl you and Chip and I talked about going down there. It's $90 for 105 feet. So instead of having $100 every 4 feet or whatever it was, and we're going to get some of that in and try one. I see the idea is to put it to where it's just barely touching the ground.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't drag the door, but it keeps wind and rain from blowing in under the hanger.
Sounds like it might work better than what we've got now.
Yeah, the brushes are, an actual brush isn't going to work. We've also got the old T-hanger doors, the ones where we were talking about where they're sitting down. We're going to, where the doors are actually rubbing the concrete. It's the only ones we weren't able to get to roll easily. And we're going to try to, instead of doing the last job where they unwelded the wheels, lowered them, we're going to try to raise the bar in the ground by putting round stock on top of it, getting it welded in place, and try to raise up the door like 3/8 of an inch. And it should roll fairly easily. I've got 3 pieces of stock to try, 2 small triangles and 1 round that we're going to try to weld to the top of the rail. Once we prove out that it works, then I'll get a guy to pull up with a welder. We'll do all the old doors at the same time. That should be relatively inexpensive except for the welder's labor.
Put a flat bar in the trunk.
Yeah, well, I've got the bar, the track that's on there is kind of round on those old hangers. And we're looking at either putting a round stock. If I put, I've got 2 small corner stock and then round stock. Square, if I put square or triangle, it's going to bite into that wheel. I think the round stock would be the most rollable surface.
And we'll postpone getting any painting and.
Yeah, on those
outlining
old
until
hangers, so we get that done.
Okay.
We should have that for sure the next time we get together.
Okay.
Additional landscaping, we've got an active program in place to do pressure washing all the buildings. We've done the side over there, killed some grass. I think we could use some landscaping along that north hangar. One of the things we looked at on preventive maintenance was a boom lift that they're expensive to rent for 1 day, but like $1,100 to $1,300 a month. So I'm getting a schedule of work to be done, including any exterior lighting. We've got 1 light on the north hangar I want to get replaced that goes right in that parking lot where the dumpster is. And pressure washing higher up under the buildings, because right now we're getting about 7 feet.
So you'll pressure wash both the north and south hangar?
We pressure washed the middle hangar, the one side of the south hangar, and the front and side of the north hangar. So, but we haven't gone up high. I think once we get the front of the south hangars, the middle and south hangars, the paint on the front of those is very thin. And I wanted to try something a little less aggressive than pressure washing, maybe just, a light spray soap clean and then a rinse, instead of knocking all the paint off. Where we have the rock and the stucco, we're doing a mild pressure wash. We've got not real aggressive pressure wash.
Straight Clorox will leave it all.
Yeah, spray it with the
Would that take the paint off, or would that just get the mildew off?
depends on how strong it is. It would get the
Straight
mildew
Clorox
off.
on there, get the mildew off, and then if you just.
I
wash
did
it,
that, David.
Put a
I
white
would-
soft
I would-
brush on it instead of power wash. You power wash that old building.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
blow right
metal.
through it.
Right. Replacement of skylights.
I've got the contractor. Val and I had a discussion. He still wants me to wait to contact that guy. We're in the final stages of getting that lighting replaced. So we had 2 contractors out this week. So that's, in the summer months, you know, with the lighting we have in there, we've got remote lights for the mechanics and stuff. We're worried about safety issues if we darken up the hangar too much.
Well, I mean, but we've agreed to pay for that,
Yeah,
so I just don't want people to forget. I mean, that's $500. I want to make sure that we're not going to do it unless don't do it. I mean,
we want to do it. We want to get rid of the holes in the roof.
You wait till you get the rest of the LEDs.
We are going LED.
Or you wait till you get those in for
Yep.
like
Yeah, or at least, you know, depending on what the job, you know, once we get, if they're gonna do it all at once, we can do it all at once. If we're gonna get like a bay and then 3 days later do a bay, I'll try to get the contractors where they work along.
But don't call me when you got half-inch water in the hangar.
Yeah.
What's your estimated projection for getting the LED installed?
I've just received the quotes. I haven't really got an ETA. When I get back, I'll look and try to give you some timeline.
Okay, thank you.
We've been working on it for a while. The main thing is getting the approval through.
Are we talking about the north side of the center hangar and the north hangar?
We're talking about all the lights in the north hangar on the inside, all the lights in the middle hangar on the inside, and all the lights in the southern avionics on the inside.
I thought you had already done the southern hangar.
Yeah, but we're going to LED across the board.
Well, they're not all LED.
No, those are 800 watt Mercury and Southern Avionics, 1,000 watt Mercury and aircraft maintenance, and a 800 watt in the north hangar.
Power bill's gonna be cheap.
Yeah. It's got an ROI of about a little less than 5 years.
Yeah.
So,
Power washing in the exterior, the runway.
this is authority.
Yeah, that's an authority.
So we are borrowing, you know, Kyle's got that portable tank that we bought a new pressure washer, and we're able to drive around and pressure wash locally as long as we have the electricity to the pressure washer. So
I think as an authority, I mean, we need to decide whether, I mean, I've not seen the state's report yet.
I've asked for it. I wrote Frank Farmer at Aldott, and he was going to get Jordan to send me a copy of it, but I haven't seen it yet.
And I heard that was a finding that was the market need to be power washed.
I don't know.
are you worried that's going to be a truck with water jets and sweepers, or?
Well, we did before, we had this guy that had a.
He had a generator and a pump. He got out there, I guess, by hand and power washed. He closed the runway at night for a couple of nights. I don't know, it had to be pretty big. I mean, he did a good job. And
It was like something about as big as this table that just power, I mean, just was,
About 2 years ago?
Yeah.
it was like,
I'll follow up with Frank and see if I can get a copy of it, because that would be the driver for us to decide.
and my issue though is that, you know, is to get it repainted is getting all the markings repainted, it's like $130,000. And we could, you know, I mean, there's a lot of things that we could do with FAA money besides getting those markings redone, in my opinion. You know, so I'd like to defer that as long as we can, but if we have to do it, we have to do it.
If we're going to talk about resurfacing the runway.
Well, that's the other thing is in the 2021, you know, capital plan is to resurface the runway. So anyway, that's, you know,
I'll find out. You know, we'll just see what the LDOT inspection says. If
Yeah.
it says it needs to be done, then we'll find the power wash.
it was like $6,000 or about $10,000, wasn't it?
No, I think it was, we went in with the low bidder, and he
Yeah.
was, I thought it was 5 or.
5,700, something
Yeah,
like that.
those are
Yeah.
six.
Well,
Actually, considering, I thought it was, he didn't do he did coming into the taxiways, but Kyle did the taxiways. But he did it 2 nights.
and he had a machine.
He had a
I-
gas-powered pressure washer with the tank that I borrowed.
All right, final issue is vehicle parking at the airport.
We're working on it.
Well, that's not the right answer.
Yeah, we're going to, we're gonna move the employees to that back lot. I've got an issue now where I've got 20 vehicles parked there at night, and I'm trying to determine the best way to allocate parking. So there are quite a few vehicles already taking up all the spaces that say rental car and all the gravel in the back.
Well, rental
So-
cars definitely ought not have.
No, we're redoing the sign. We don't need that many. You have 2 rental cars max there at any one time. There do appear to be 20 customer-owned vehicles there that are there overnight. So
Could we charge them?
we could, huh?
Put a meter.
Put the coins in.
Could we charge them?
Buy a bunch of boots.
Yeah, well, originally it was long-term parking. There was a fee for long-term parking originally, but it's not policed enough to.
They did the gravel parking lot across from the fire station.
We did that as part of the Aviation Academy, because we thought we'd have spillover.
That's where we have, between there and next to the firehouse, we have 20 vehicles parked at night.
In my personal opinion, we're very thankful for all the business that Continental bringing to Fairhope. But Continental has tripled their employees there, which is wonderful, and we're thankful for it. They need to triple their parking lot also.
There was a
And
We also
take
had,
all that
we
area
also
down the
lost
side
a
of the field for it.
15-spot parking lot
Why?
because we didn't want to kill the grass anymore.
Well,
Oh,
Yeah.
because you moved off the hill?
Right by the gate.
right.
Yes, we,
Stopped it.
you know, because they were parked behind South Hangar.
But we need,
Yeah.
I really think Continental needs to go to the south
Continental
side
ought
of
to-
the fuel farm and gravel that like we did the north side and make that their employee park.
We can rent
Yeah,
you some
yeah.
spaces in the Aviation Academy
Yeah,
parking
you
lot.
walk right in the back door.
I mean, there's some spaces there, you know, that aren't used. Y'all can have as much of it as you want.
So you're talking about the mud hole, instead of it being a mud hole,
And they
gravel
could
it up?
gravel it up.
That sounds like a good idea.
A great spot. That's why I was asking, we did the other end, maybe Continental could do that end, and that's their parking.
Or you could,
And I think that land's in their lease anyway.
I think we talked about one
I
time
think
y'all,
everything but the fuel farm is in the lease back there.
Fuel farm's not in there?
No, fuel farm's a little red X outside of the lease.
Really?
we need to give the fuel farm.
The Joe, the fuel farm.
So by next meeting, you'll have a definitive report on
Yeah.
what the parking is?
Yeah.
Joe, do you know what we paid to do the gravel on the other side? The other
It was
first
in- it was
side?
in that, it was probably $10,000. The big issue is.
Probably less than that, this be a little smaller.
The big deal was to get the Board of Education to regrade it every 2 or 3 years, because it seems to pile up.
Turn in,
Yeah, yeah, so, I mean, well, that was a really big deal this summer, is to get them to regrade it. I mean, it was like, they just didn't have that was just a hard thing to get done. But if we double the size of the school, then there'll be lots of parking.
But if we gravel that spot south of the fuel farm, that's a great place for employee parking out of the way. It gets.
South of the fuel farm? Oh, yeah, south of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah.
Not west of it,
Radius
because that goes down
triangle
into
piece
there,
there.
yeah.
Okay?
But you can't use it as it is, or you need a tow truck.
No, we're just digging a hole.
Any other issues, kind of maintenance issues with Continental? I would like to say that we had a very productive meeting on Friday, put a lot of things on the table. I think we really moved things forward. And I think Continental is committed to do this once a quarter, to kind of go through where we are, so things just don't get stale on our list.
Yeah. And if anything comes up out of the ordinary.
Yeah. Okay. All right, treasurer's report?
Okay.
You said the fuel farm.
All right, so small. Okay, let's see.
Thank you, David.
We can start with the revenue overview. We did have a shortfall in revenue in March, as you can see. We didn't get the city's check or one of the ground lease checks until this month, but we do have them now, so we expect to recover that. One thing you'll notice on both the revenue and the expenses is I went ahead and did like a year-end projection now that we're 6 months into the year to see kind of where I think we're going to end up. So for the fuel surcharge, we're running 25% under where we expected to be, and so I just extended the average out for the rest of the year. So we're looking at a potential shortfall of $6,000 on them if nothing changes. We didn't really see a bump up in March after that flying, so I don't know now how we would recover if we haven't done it. But the good news is, when you get down to the expense side, we also have to project the expenses to be less than planned, so it should we should be able to recover the 6,000. Everything else, I think, on the revenue side is right on track.
So you're projecting the expenses will be less by,
2%.
yeah, 9,800?
Yep. So the big expense we had in March was that insurance payment, annual payment, so that was 38,900, and we still have this additional 12 or 1,300 to pay for the aviation policy, so I've got that built into the projection. The legal services is ending up to be more, and it's gonna be even more, I guess, because of these advertisements that we have to place, get booked there. But some of the other things are looking well, so.
We, in Amy worked this weekend, I was able to quantify pretty much all the expenses that we have for the year-end, we know what those are.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, this is no longer just a guess on maintenance.
Right, yeah.
I mean, our maintenance expenses are pretty much, we'll hit them pretty much right on target.
Yeah.
The only thing that we probably have some flexibility is the number of grass cuts and what Kyle's responsibilities are out there. We just need to more actively manage that.
Yeah. So in the airport maintenance, we have the 26,000 for the planned items, and there's still 9,000 for anything else that might come up in that projection, so I feel okay with that. So, and I'll just keep updating that as we get the next month's actuals, and any changes, then we'll just keep, as my regular job, come in like smoothly. We don't have that going on, so.
I really like the way you present this.
Thank you.
Well done.
So,
David, is there any seasonality in fuel sales?
To seasonality?
Yeah, any months more than others?
Right now, where we have the events in April, where the Southern comes
Southern
in
comes.
and
Uh-huh.
flies. Also, when we have like the CJAA, when we have the jets come in, when they have the Fairhope golf tournaments. So we do have seasonality in months that have spikes in it. So obviously, when it's raining, it's very low.
Yeah.
But the higher fuel sales are normally associated with us getting a group of jets.
An event
aircraft
or
on the
something.
airport.
I'm wondering if that might make up for some of the shortfall later.
I think we'll be closer to 23,000 than we will to 19,000. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I think that we'll probably split the difference. I think we'll recover some of this. I mean, I don't.
I'll believe it when I see it.
We had 50% rain 4 out of 6 weeks there for a while. That's all.
Yeah,
Affected
uh-huh.
every
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, the
Keeps my
flying hurts.
triplacer on the ground.
What other events are upcoming for the airport? What other events are upcoming aviation?
We have
wise?
we have 2 civil jet aviation each year. I don't know the other one was. We have one in March. I think it's going to be like in June. I don't have a calendar full yet. And then we have the Southern comes in this month, and they come in twice a year. I think the next one's October.
Mhm.
But the other solicited events that are in addition to what we normally have each year, I don't really know of any other than the CJAA. But we're open to events.
I'd like to for another time.
Okay. And at the bottom of this page, you can just see the bank accounts we paid that insurance bill, and then we had the shortfall in the revenue, so the March bank account balances were looking kind of sad. But they should recover. And then Joe reminded me that we're gonna have, in the PNC account, we're gonna have to pay our 5% match of the latest, what do you call it, the latest
I mean,
$1 million outlay.
I mean, right now, the project's $3.4 million. We're probably $1.5 million into it. We probably have about $2 million left to pay. So we have about $110,000 of monies, if you will, left to pay. So these numbers are a little bit off. I got the latest numbers, this afternoon from PNC. PNC is just real hard to, not get information from them, but they're just not very timely. So we'll probably be $10,000 or $12,000 short as far as in our PNC construction account.
Do we pay our 5% as we go along with the contractor's draws?
We do. The big thing, though,
State
is
pays theirs, we pay
pay
ours,
ours.
and we get the net.
what we do is, if it's $100,000, the state sends us a check for $95,000, and we pay the $100,000. The big deal is retainage. They don't retain on Volker, but they retain 10% on all the contractors. So that's what kind of things kind of pile up at the end. And we've still got, got to pay the retainage on all cutting end doing.
The retainage is a bad thing,
Okay.
if you're a contractor.
Yeah.
And that doesn't clear for a year. They don't clear. We just closed out 2017 probably in January.
Okay. So this next page is a new one that I'll again, just so we can see how we're gonna end up the year. So the Bryant Bank operating account, this is based on the first page, revenue expenses that we see there. And so in September, we pay the $200,000 principal payment. So that's gonna take us down to $14,000 without doing anything else with that account. The blue one, the PNC account, that's the one we're talking about, this $110,000 is gonna have to come out of. So we don't have enough in there to cover it based on this. There's some more activity that I didn't consider here, so I showed us, we ended March with 72,000. I think it could be 60 based on this. That's plus 30.
There's a $39,000 check that's out there that we haven't deposited.
Okay. So it's going to be better.
It'll be better.
It'll be better than this. So my point with this is the shortfall that we have, so worst case is going to be 43,000 would get transferred over from that green money market account to cover whatever we need to. And then we can plan in any other activity for the grant.
Yeah. I mean that's kind of where we are. We obviously got to pay the grant, and operating wise we're okay. We do have that. We do have $140,000 in that capital account for the generated internal, and we have another $100,000 in another money market account. So we have some cushion with this. How much is it?
82
82.
in the money market that we're going to borrow from for take bond. Right.
Amy, in that PNC account, the third column there says authorities 5% match to 1.1 million, wouldn't that be 55,000 to 110?
Yeah.
It would be. Joe, I thought you said it was 2 million.
There's $2 million left. It's $100,000 that we have to pay.
That's where the 110 came from.
Yeah, 110. Right?
110. So the 110's right, and the 1.1 million is wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think
That'd be 2.2 million.
I think it's a little better than we're looking at in PNC. I think this is a great exercise. We need to be well aware of this. But we'll firm it up. But I think it's a great report.
Yeah, I will, again, I'll keep this one updated.
We can take
and-
that draw request and get to the penny number
Oh,
what
yeah,
that
yeah.
10% retainage is.
We can get, we'll know next, the draws going forward are really big. So we'll know by next, by next month exactly what our net is.
Okay.
And the only thing I said though is some of those final draws could be next year this time. You know what I'm saying? We still owe it, but it doesn't come out until they finalize the grant.
Okay.
I don't know how Honey and Delaney survives that, but it's a big number.
Does the bank borrow money, you can survive anything?
So to your question, last last month, I would like to buy, I think buying a CD with that money in the money market account is probably a good thing to do. 2 years ago, banks didn't care whether they had your money or not, but now they do. And this is probably something we can probably get 2% or so for us.
What was it for you, Bob?
How long time we talking about?
Yeah, that's my
12,
question.
14 months.
We get about 2.2.
Vince, you're doing it personally?
No, but I know where you can get it. I'm not gonna say it publicly, but I know where you can get 2.2%. At a bank right here in town.
On 100,000.
I mean, everybody wants, I mean, yeah.
So do we need a motion to pursue this?
I don't think so.
or-
We've always kind of just, I mean, I think we should move forward and get a CD. I mean,
Get the best rate we can get.
and the best rate we can get. Let the treasurer do what she can. Okay? Any other questions? I think it's a great report. And having this kind of stuff, you know, having this level of analysis really helps. The only other thing I'd add is we still haven't reconciled the year end with our final accounting numbers. Warren Averett, there's still a couple of adjustments. And they're really not adjustments to earnings, they're really adjustments to the equity account. And it's just, you know, it's just hard. We just haven't had a chance to sit down with them and make those adjustments.
Yeah, I just don't fully understand it, and I don't want to confuse anyone.
But we'll get it, at some point in time, we'll
Yeah,
make the.
I don't think it affects any of this,
I don't think it
honestly.
does.
I think it's just the accounting of the
Yeah.
timing of when they draw that line, what's hanging out on either end. so. But we'll-
When do you expect to meet with Warren Avery?
It's more of a Jill Cavanagh question than a Warren Averett question. I mean, we've met, I mean, Warren Averett's been very forthcoming, they've spent, had 2 conference calls with us. But Jill, there's some things that she has to do, because, you know, at the end of the year, they're gonna have to take our numbers, which we're doing independently now, and they have to be consolidated in the city's books. And we wanna make sure that we're all on the same page, you know, in April. We don't have to worry about this in September when they start trying to close out.
So next year at this time, they have a question, they'll go to our independent auditor to get their answers.
Well, that's another issue. I'd like to fire Warren, I mean, not fire Warren, but I'd like to get our own independent auditor, you know, next year. And, you know, there are people that, not that I haven't been happy. I thought they've been very good.
Yeah, I mean, we just need somebody with that municipal, whatever government kind of accounting, which
Experience.
I don't know what the options are for that.
We should start looking for one now so that we're ready to go for next.
But we've been pleased with Kathy, is that?
Yeah, but she can't do the audit.
Oh, no,
I mean,
no. The book,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
The bookkeeping service we've been pleased
Yes,
with.
yes.
Something we should have done 2 years ago.
But we should start looking for an auditor that can do this now so that we're ready to go for the new fiscal year.
That's what I'm sitting there wondering, so we get an independent auditor, do our own, and Warren Averett or whoever's doing the cities at that time still gonna question our auditor's report and come back, we're gonna answer the same questions after we spent the money.
I was wondering that too.
Yeah,
Might not be feasible.
Yeah, it might not.
It might even be
Yes.
good just to have the city uses Warren Averett out of Montgomery. Don't ask me why. We know some people in Foley, Warren Averett and Foley, who would like to have our business too. Maybe we could just have a different Warren Averett group that did our audit, that they would basically accept. And Kevin Leeser, would do a good job.
It'd be hard for them to audit themselves.
Well, they would accept their own working papers. So. Anything
okay,
else?
that's it for me, unless somebody has
Okay.
any questions.
Any other business? Anybody else has anything else for the betterment? Do you have anything?
I just had a few questions, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Vanessa Elias, I live here on Morgan Street. And I'm, I guess, a little late coming to the airport party, but I was just wondering about the primary purpose of the increased investment in the airport. Is it for revenue for the city? Is it to increase employment, cargo delivery?
Economic development would be at the top of my list.
as an economic development hub for not only the city of Fairhope, but the other communities on the Eastern Shore.
Okay, so you were approached to put more investment into this, to do that, or the city decided?
Well, I think first you have to understand that the airport is a separate legal entity. It is not owned by the city of Fairhope. So, you know, there are other organizations on the Eastern Shore, the Metropolitan Economic Development Organization, and they assess everything on the Eastern Shore. The airport was identified as a good economic hub several years ago to be developed for the betterment not only of Fairhope, but the surrounding communities.
I was looking at an airport that was similar in size in West Virginia. It was about 450 acres, 480 acres. And they did have a time where they increased the development and revenue that was put into the airport. And then it sort of peaked and tapered off, and it's not doing exactly what they wanted it to do. I was just wondering. I also looked at the website, and it said they have a full-length taxiway, and they can accommodate aircraft from Cessnas to large corporate jets. And I was just wondering if there was any limit to how large we're going to go on the corporate jets. Because there are corporate jets that have been made corporate that could potentially carry 300 passengers. They've just been made to have bedrooms and dining rooms instead of rows of passenger seats. So is there a limit?
What's our runway limit now?
600 and
the length is 6,600 feet, and the limit is 64,000. So basically a G3 is probably the largest jet that we could land in.
Any business jet, what you're talking about, it's an airline I choose is a corporate jet, but we don't have the runway weight bearing capacity to accommodate that. You're talking about
So there is a
737s.
finite limit. I know it says it should accommodate the Airbuses and those come in.
It won't accommodate their buses.
It does say that on their site. Okay, since we are within the
Put that
city.
in there.
I don't know. Let me take that out though.
Yeah, it needs to go.
It needs to be very
Might
empty.
need to go.
Yeah.
It had no fuel.
The, since we are within the city limits, and the airport actually sits 4 miles exactly from the Freedom District.
I can answer that. We annexed it. We basically decided that we wanted to be in the city limits. I mean, we're actually, if you look at, we're an island
So it was originally out.
outside
now
the city
it's in.
limits, and we basically, we felt like it, you know, with the city being a participant in it, we thought that it should be in the city, if you will. So there's no contiguous piece of the city, you know, that touches the airport.
Okay. Since it is 4 miles from Freedom District, I was wondering if, based on how busy we get with jets flying in and out, would there be any steps taken for buffering sound like some of the airports? I mean, do we have a plan in case, because I know people already complain about the school and the training, which, you know, it happens, I don't mind that. But if this airport got really busy, we're probably going to hear a lot more complaints from people who live 4 to 6 miles, which includes everybody here in town from the airport.
Well, I mean, two meetings ago, we had a,
Right.
go ahead. We had a lengthy discussion on trying to zone proactively around the airport with, you know, because that's really in the county. And, you know, there's all these for sale signs for these big home or these big agricultural plots around there. And, you know, we think that, we think you're onto something. We think that area should not be developed for residential communities.
Yeah, and there's actually technology that can be put on the border of airports and airstrips to buffer sound. But,
And we are 2 meetings ago, the city was here and we agreed to work together on some specific action items, and so that's progressing. The interim planning director has been out of town for the last 2 weeks, so we'll be getting together and working on those action items to
Wait a
address
minute.
those things.
okay, so y'all have discussed
way the
Yes.
airport patterns are designed or flown, there really isn't, if you have traffic coming right over Fairhope, it's probably traffic going into
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, downtown Mobile. It's not coming, because they run parallel track by the runway and then make a rectangular pattern into land. Or take off the track straight out, but the way the patterns are designed, it would not, normally, unless airplanes are just transiting into this area from the northwest, as far as in the traffic pattern, it would take them over downtown and put it up.
Okay, then one last thing. Last Friday at 4:50 a.m., a plane took off from what my neighbors and I are thinking was the airport here. And it was crystal clear like a bell. It didn't taper in and get loud and then taper off. It was loud and then it tapered off. So it took off somewhere very, very near here. It was across the bay. I don't know. I'm not a sound expert, but I know there's a procedure for filing complaints about that with, flight records. But I was just wondering what happens, because the operational hours of the airport is supposed to be 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., is that correct? Or
6
8
p.m. to
p.m.?
8 p.m. it's manned, the airport's open 24
For
hours.
us, okay.
For people that are manned. There's no limit to what time somebody.
This was a takeoff.
There's no,
This is
the
a
airport,
departure.
since it's a federally funded airport, it has to stay open. It's open 24 hours a day, but 96% of the operations are during daylight hours. Very rarely is there much
This was
going
at
on.
4:50 a.m. But
If
in
it was
any
at
case, I
4:50
know no one
a.m.
here knows what that was about, I'm sure.
Probably FedEx landed over Mobile. It was 4:50.
It came from the east. In any case, okay, that's all my questions. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, well, I will adjourn the meeting at 5 minutes, at 4:55.